Horus Heresy, and this is Explain What is Warhammer 40,000, Beginner's Guide to 40k plus lore by the channel Lutin09. Yeah, ready to do a Brick's Facts and Explain video on Warhammer 40,000. It was 2 hours, 2-part video, which I made it 7-part. So obviously that was really good in depth, I guess, I guess at least he touched the surface of everything. People told me in the comments that if I want a deep lore about Warhammer 40,000, I should react to Lutin09. So if I'm going to react to this channel, why not start with this guide? I guess he's going to go into detail in this one, but how? It's just one 17-minute video. Yeah, I guess he's just going to talk about, everything basically from the top, right? Then he's going to make different videos, which he already made, I guess, the Emperor of Men and everything, which is in more detail. So I guess if I'm going to start, why not with this one? So let's watch it.
In times of doubt, I shall keep faith.
That is so good that I didn't thought of before, but just realized that, in the time of dark, you should keep faith. So it makes really good sense that everything is basically worse, everything is dark and grim, there's only war. Of course, people are going to find religions around that time, because what else are you going to do?
If you're watching this, then chances are you've been caught up amid the renaissance of a universe known as Warhammer 40,000, or you've seen it on my channel, but maybe you never heard of this 40k or Warhammer before. What the hell is it? Well, today I'm hoping to answer that for you. Now, I've been immersed in Warhammer 40,000 across a period now of some 20 years. Today I hope this video might be a starting point that brings you further into the world of 40k and the amazing lore, games and narrative that exists. So, just what is Warhammer 40,000? It is and was originally a tabletop wargame. Now, before I get any further, I'm pretty sure you might ask, what is a tabletop wargame even? Well, it's literally just that. You play with miniatures and move them across the battlefield according to a fairly complex set of rules and instructions, which you often have literature and books to accompany. You make tactical choices and choose the composition of your own army. These armies will be decided based on some formation rules and point values to ensure balance. You fight out over a tabletop environment with scenery and the miniatures all painted by hand, very likely by yourself. You use dice and so on to kind of make decisions and work out the chances of your guys.
You paint yourself. That is some really real dedication. I mean, I remember Henry Cavill basically talking about one of the Witcher interviews that he also used to paint and create this miniature things like this. I don't know if he was doing about Warhammer or what, but yeah. I mean, look, 20-30 years ago, people would have seen doing this and playing this. People would have said, oh, what a nerd. Right now, people are coming around to it more, right? People even like Henry Cavill can come out and say, oh, I like this, because this is fucking awesome. I mean, putting all your work into creating this kind of thing, tabletop complex. I didn't have this kind of shit, right, when I was a kid, because we didn't have anything like this in here where I live. Otherwise, I would have definitely gotten it.
It's got killed or injured or whatever. People take a huge amount of enjoyment from just this aspect of the hobby. Painting, converting, designing, creating. It's all a huge part of the world that runs alongside the actual game itself.
Eldar,
and you've got to go back
Guardians.
to the origins to understand sort of how this whole came about and why people were getting into it at that time. Some people actually make their living from painting up miniatures on commission. Games Workshop sell all the models, rules and extended literature that surrounds the 40k universe. There is also an extended site known as Forge World, which provides more limited prints of the models along with the price tag to match. Some of the new miniatures sell from the website for anything over £1,000.
What?
The average squad though, just from the regular shop, is going to cost you more like £30. Now, many people have discussed around the pricing aspect of the hobby and how it can be prohibitive to some people. But again, I've had this conversation about pricing when it refers to video games as well. Essentially, it is what it is, and pricing for a hobby is relative to the individual. You might not consider it expensive, where I may, and vice versa. It's just the way those kind of things go. And essentially, at the end of the day, it's not an essential component to your life. It's an extra. It's a hobby.
Yeah, it's a hobby.
Something you do for your own enjoyment. It's a pastime. You know, if you can afford and, you know, you decide...
Oh my god, what a dollar, pound, what is it? Well, regardless of what, $1,000 for one piece, basically. Oh, that's a pretty expensive piece. You know, what if you basically screw up that piece, or you know, the piece gets damaged or something? Oh, that would be fucking heartbreaking.
That you want to spend the money in a certain way, then you can do, and if not, you don't. It's as simple as that. So Warhammer 40,000 is a tabletop game. So where do all the games such as Space Hulk, Eternal Crusade, Deathwing, Battlefleet Gothic, Deathwatch, and Dawn of War fit in? Well, they all sit within the lore and narrative of the franchise. Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader released in 1987. The world of Warhammer and other of Games Workshop's fantasy-based tabletop war games already existed, having been released very successfully in 1983. And of course, recently Warhammer got remade into a video game by Creative Assembly in Total War Warhammer. Now, Games Workshop decided they wanted to expand on this with a science fiction version. Rick Priestley, the creator of 40k, had already been working privately on a science fiction game, Rogue Trader, and so brought those elements together along with Warhammer to create Warhammer 40,000. The first edition of the game was more like his role-playing adventure, Rogue Trader, and the game focused on small skirmishes. But as time passed by, Rick Priestley realised players wanted more all-out war than just these little RPG skirmishes, and so a new second edition was developed. Now, new editions continue today, updating rules, balancing races, and when they become too powerful, no Eldar jokes please, they may also update the game to correspond with lore and to bring in new units, etc. Warhammer 40,000 became even more successful than its fantasy precursor, and later we would see spin-off games such as Necromunda, Battlefleet Gothic, Gorka Morka, Execution Force recently, Overkill, and now they even continue to add tabletop variations, things like this new two-player small combat game Lost Patrol, which is not even out yet. So they continue to build on it even today. So that's the background to how the game began, how the world of 40k began. But I'm now going to try and summarize the universe of 40k as concisely as possible.
Yeah, so tabletop feels really complex. You have to check guides and things. I never played any tabletop as far as I remember, but it feels a really complex thing. Like you need to get the rules and everything perfectly and play it. But that's fucking awesome when you really think about it. It's pretty complex. You paint your own army and things. Damn. And as far as, you know, the franchise, how it's moving forward, I don't know. I have this hope that going forward, there will be, I guess, one day a massive AAA game based on Warhammer 40,000. I have hope with that. Like some major studio like Bethesda, somebody will basically make some kind of, agreement with the owners and will make a massive game like that. Because this definitely deserves one. The lore is damn deep.
No easy task. Wish me luck. The current date is the late 41st millennium. Now, generally, the core focus of 40k is around humanity. It is around humanity and our struggles in this time. Mankind has undergone an epic rise and subsequently fallen into horrific decay. We now sit as a broken, fragmented society ruled by a quasi-religious totalitarian state known as the Imperium of Man.
Come on, man. After watching the Breakies video, I mean, Imperium Man, we are kind of fucked, but not as much as Eldars are, right? 90% of the population got fucked, and, even their souls will go to the basically a chaos god in the end.
This organization rules over the vast majority of planets where humans exist. Trillions of humans are protected by the very limited military resources of the Imperium, including forces known as the Space Marines, Imperial Guard, Imperial Navy, Titans of Mars, and other smaller human groups that do exist under that banner, such as the Sisters of Battle, Grey Knights, the Inquisition, and Imperial Assassins. And I'll get a little bit into their exact organization shortly, so again, calm down. They all come under the banner of the Emperor, who was wounded long ago in battle and now sits atop the Golden Throne in his fortress back on Earth. Although unable to speak or move, he leads mankind with psychic whispers, and all the forces in the Imperium of Man pledge their lives and actions to him. Under the Emperor, humanity's force
Oh, he can speak, right?
speak or move. He leads mankind with psychic whispers, and all the forces in the Imperium of Man pledge their lives and actions to him.
Ooh, this kind of answers the question that I asked in the Bricky's video. That are people using him just for the interstellar trial, or is he really ruling it, right? Ruling the empire? Is he actually giving directions? Because if he can't speak anything, but yeah, he's using his psychic power to guide people and tell people what to do. So I guess he is giving orders. That makes sense.
Under the Emperor, humanity's forces at the highest level are split between two entities, the Inquisition and the High Lords of Terror. Now, the Inquisition, you'll note, is separate from all those other forces. This is because their activities are essential to the survival of humanity, and none can stand in their path to prevent heretics and corruptors from sowing the seeds of anarchy and chaos among humanity. The Inquisition are the first and last line of defense for mankind, and they cannot be challenged in their actions. They're answerable only to the Emperor. In other words, they could walk into a room, shoot you in the face, and no one would question it.
Yeah.
Next, we have the High Lords.
I mean, it's in the name, right? Inquisition. They basically investigate stuff. If they're deemed necessary, they'll just kill anything without even giving reason to, because they don't have to. Their goal is to make sure the humanity survives, any means necessary. It's like how Spectres are in Mass Effect universe.
They oversee the Imperium in the Emperor's stead and rule the galaxy-spanning empire that is the Imperium of Mankind. Below them are the three main subsections of humanity in the 41st millennium: the Adeptus Terra, the Adeptus Mechanicus, and the Adeptus Ministorum. Terra deal with everything from governing of systems, administration to military organization, and actions both offensive and defensive.
Okay. Adeptus Mechanicus. These are Martian people, alright? Adeptus Ministorum, Shrine of Warlords. I don't know what that is, I guess. Adeptus Terra, Adeptus, yeah. Adeptus Arbitis, Adeptus Custodes, so custodians. Adeptus Taris fall into Adeptus Administratum, which fall into Adeptus Terra. Okay. So the under Emperor, there is, obvious, there is Inquisition, which is their own body. They don't do, they have no relation with any of this shit. They, basically directly answer to the Emperor and do their shit. Like I said, feels very well like Spectres from Mass Effect. Then there are High Lords, basically. Adeptus Terra, who oversees the entire army aspect of things, right? Astartes, Imperial Guard, everything, right? Even the custodians, things like that. Then obviously Adeptus Mechanics, the people who make sure you get your shit, right? Weapons and things. Martian, who basically are heretics. They don't believe in Emperor. I mean, they know Emperor is powerful, but they don't believe the Emperor is God or something. They have their own God, which is, I guess, is kind of true, since they pray and equipment does work, apparently. But that could very well be, something like how Orcs are, who believe when shit happens. Maybe they don't even know it. Adeptus Mechanicus just thinks that they're gonna pray and stuff gonna work, and that's why stuff works. Actually, there is no God. Who knows?
The Adeptus Terra constitutes the main body of the Imperium. The Adeptus Mechanicus have a complicated history that I won't get into now, although everything is complicated in 40k.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're a separate body from the Adeptus Terra, and they govern the forge worlds of the Imperium. These produce all the machines of war and civilian production required by humanity. They also have their own private military and also provide the support of Imperial Titans, the largest war machines in the Imperial arsenal, as required. The Adeptus Ministorum, more commonly known as the Ecclesiarchy, is the official state church of the Imperium and worships the Emperor as the one true god of mankind.
Ooh, okay.
So the large,
Back up, man. Oh, this is church section. Oh, I should have known that. Shrine walls. Alright. Oh, that makes sense. This is the forge people. This is the whole military section. This is only the church for the Emperor, yeah.
War arsenal as required. The Adeptus Ministorum, more commonly known as the Ecclesiarchy, is the official state church of the Imperium and worships the Emperor as the one true god of mankind. I could explain the insanity of this, but I'll leave that for another time. Just take it from me, there is a deep irony in the Imperium having a religion based around the Emperor. Now, humanity are ever under threat from a broad spectrum of enemies, some new, some ancient, hence the tagline for the entire franchise, in the far future there is only war. Aliens fill the galaxy, and they are collectively known to mankind as Xenos. I always assumed this was a play on words from xenophobia, but what do I know? Either way, it's very apt. These alien races, the Eldar, Orcs, Necrons, Tau, Tyranids, and the bastard Dark Eldar, all have their own reasons and objectives as to why they
I know all those names apparently after Bricky's video, so at least I remember shit.
seek to, if not eradicate humanity, then at least cleanse it from the territory they view as their own. This forms the primary focus of war throughout the galaxy, the races and factions all battling for reasons and control of resources and regions. Some, like the Tyranids though, act more on instinct and mechanical drive than they do preconceived agendas, which somehow makes them all the more terrifying.
Yeah.
There is one force though, which humanity fears above all of these Xenos. This force is known as Chaos. Chaos is a broad term used to describe the darkest entities in the galaxy, the demons and horrors that exist within the Warp. Now the Warp, again, very condensed version, the Warp is essentially another plane of space. Imagine it as a sea of energy that exists in a parallel to our own reality. Many races use this warp to travel across vast distances of space in much less time. This was once a safe means of travel, but because chaos rose from the energy and darkness of a now unstable warp, it is dangerous and highly treacherous means of travel. It is, however, necessary, and so despite the risks, it still must be utilised. Chaos does not just form one collective enemy to mankind though, it is split between 4 all-powerful gods of chaos.
Yeah.
These are warp creatures who are the strongest and most horrific of all warp entities. They are known as Khorne, Tzeentch, Nergel, and Slaanesh, each focused around a specific abhorrence. Khorne is the Bloodseeker, fueled by rage and physical combat. Its followers will seek bloodletting by any means possible and favour blades over ranged weapons. Tzeentch followers are obsessed with the psychic powers imbued to them by the warp. They focus heavily on magic and using themselves as conduits to that warp. Nergel is the plague god, and its disciples are in many ways the most abhorrent of all the chaos gods. They're riddled with plague, disease. The sheer sight of them is enough to make forces flee from battle. They are horrific parodies of their former selves, distended and ruined by the diseases of Nergel. Slaanesh, by complete opposite, is the god of pleasure of sorts. Her followers revel in extreme hedonism, self-satisfaction, the darkest pleasures possible. The followers of Slaanesh ride high on the torture of their captives and devise inhuman ways to destroy their enemies through pain and insanity. Chaos is feared more than any other Xenos threat to humanity, and not simply because of the night.
Okay, anybody who literally is watching this video as first like, look at that, she looks alright, without knowing that she killed 90% of the Eldars basically when she came to existence. Not her fault, right? I mean, that's how she was created, but still.
Nightmarish threat that it presents to us, but also because of its ability to corrupt. All the other races that the Imperium wages war against are simpler in many ways than Chaos, because they are a clearer enemy. They stand ready to be fought and destroyed, and that's often about as complex as it needs to be. But Chaos is insidious. It corrupts the minds of men. It turns Space Marine brothers against one another. Those who were once believed to be untaintable guardians of humanity are the most tragic victims of Chaos. You will hear often in
calling Chaos enemies is kind of weird. Enemies only when you can wage war against certain people. And is it waging of war much when Chaos cannot be defeated ever? Because it's literally a pocket dimension. When you kill a demon or something, they go back and eventually they'll return. It's like you're just, making sure that, the Chaos don't, and basically take over everything today, and you're just delaying that shit, right? You can never really defeat Chaos. So is it really much of a war or much of enemy? It's just a threat.
40k about an event known as the Horus Heresy. This was a nightmarish civil war against the most powerful defenders of humanity, the Space Marines. At their height of power, Chaos corrupted a leader of a Space Marine legion. He was known as Horus. He was also the War Master of all Space Marine legions at the time. He then proceeded to infect other legions with the darkness of chaos before all-out civil war erupted. They were finally banished back into the warp, but not without first dealing catastrophic losses to mankind. Now here I will briefly mention
God, there is so many different type of major games you can make with that, right? Elder Scrolls type of open world type of game with many things to do with one storyline. Imagine that, Warhammer, the Horus Heresy, the whole game is based on that. How things unfold slowly, dramatically, how it happens in AAA games basically. Horus gets corrupted, you are protagonist from you are some space marine who's basically somewhat nobody right now, but you'll eventually realize that Horus is corrupted. You'll try to stop it, but then he corrupts all the, basically all the different Primarchs and shit, and, whatever, those children of Emperor. And then, the whole war happens. You're an instrumental part of that and shit like that. That would be so good game. Then next time you can make a game about how, I guess humanity fights Necrons or something like that. There are so many different elements that could people tackle. I'm pretty sure somebody will eventually make a massive game like that.
About the Emperor. He, as I stated, is humanity's exalted leader and resides on the Golden Throne back on Earth. Now, to find out more about the Emperor, Chaos and the Heresy, you should watch my other video which talks in detail about the rise and fall of mankind, from its beginning through to the 41st millennium, which I hopefully will remember to link on screen right now. Humanity in the 41st millennium is not a glorious and advanced race among the galaxy. We are not a beacon of hope. Mankind is an extremely powerful, yet tattered, decaying empire which was once the most powerful force, but through disaster, suppression of information, and the spread of a ridiculous new religion, the Imperium of Man is a shadow of its former strength. New technological advances are rarely made, and keeping things simply operational is the daily routine. Because of humanity's weakened state after losing legions of Space Marines to the darkness of chaos, we are now only able to keep our borders in check. Despite retaining some of the most powerful warriors and weapons in the galaxy, worlds are regularly still lost to natural disaster, Xenos attack, and often by the time defense support reaches some outer planets, on arrival they will only find burning remains of a once beautiful and productive Imperial world. As if humanity wasn't weak enough, bureaucracy and squabbling between factions and orders in the Imperium hamstrings any real progress or renewal. All the while, dangers from Xenos continue to grow. Forces such as the alien horrors known as Tyranids have only shown the smallest fraction of their strength as they enter our galaxy, and even that is enough to destroy and consume entire human worlds. The Necrons, an ancient force of alien-machine hybrids, awaken from their millennia of sleep and seek to conquer the galaxy that they perceive as belonging to them.
Adeptus Mechanicus are the one who basically awoken them. So yeah, obviously I'll think that I'm surprised Emperor didn't get pissed off like, what the fuck did you just do? But then again, yeah, he needs them. He needs them for all the equipment and weapons and shit.
The Eldar, a once proud but now ruined race, cling to arrogance and the belief that they should rightfully dominate the galaxy. Orcs, the brutal savages who are fiercely territorial and continually batter human planets on their borders, and the Tau, a rising race who seek to flex their ambitions onto the older races and expand their own empire. What you have in Warhammer 40k is an extremely well fleshed out, diverse universe, spread across tabletop games, novels, digital games, and the physical tabletop also includes people who pursue it as a creative hobby through the painting and converting of miniatures. But whatever discipline you follow, you cannot escape the fact that 40k is an almost comedically over-the-top, franchise, and that's why I love it. There are no half measures in 40k. You need to throw some Imperial Guard fodder at a Xenos threat. 10,000 soldiers? Scratch that. Let's make it 1,000,000 just for good measure. And don't worry about the survivors. The beauty in 40k is simply...
Yeah, but it's 41st millennia. I mean, by then, obviously, population would reach at a certain level that, millions, billions, who cares at that point? That kind of makes sense when there's nothing but dark, grim world there. Obviously, people would not care about human lives lost. Any lives lost, there you go. Yeah, millions lost, who cares?
Simply how unapologetic it is. I've often found myself laughing when talking with friends about some of the training processes or a piece of equipment in the world of 40k, which by any other standard would be just absurd. But for some reason, everything works in 40k. It's the craziness of it that makes basically anything acceptable. Does this mean, though, that everything is just a bit of a joke in it and impossible to...
The way he said everything was, I'm still imagining basically orcs creating some kind of a makeshift, makeshift wooden type of thing that definitely doesn't work. It's like, gluing together certain wood pieces, but it now shoots a massive death laser or something, and is some kind of a really powerful weapon. Everybody's like, what the fuck is that? What did they just made? What is that? Some wood plies glued together or something, but now it shoots death rays. Because why? Because they believe it is. That would be so damn funny.
Take seriously? I would say no. Online, the discussion of 40k certainly drifts between the hardcore narrative enthusiasts who spend forever debating small snippets of information told from one novel or codex to the next, and you also get the more Chan stylings, which often, has to be said, are actually pretty hilarious. I think you can appreciate 40k in both ways, both as a serious narrative of tragedy, sorrow, betrayal, honour, revenge, brotherhood, hopelessness, and simultaneously laugh at the insanity of the disregard for life shown throughout everything. If there's one constant in the world of 40k, it's that your life is literally insignificant. I can't say much more at this point other than go and check out more about Warhammer 40,000.
Especially
Google
Imperial
is always
Guards.
your friend, and you should be looking up stuff like the Lexicanum or just generally the 40k Wikipedia. Once you read more and learn about the world of 40k, you'll appreciate its creative insanity and likely get hooked in it as I have been for 20 years. It's a universe unlike any other, and there is really no right or wrong starting point. Just jump in, start reading, eventually it'll all make sense. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this has been helpful as an introduction to 40k. Be sure to check out my other videos and the rest of the playlist. I hope that I'll be making many more very soon. They take me some time to make because obviously I have certain production values that I try to adhere to, but I do try to turn them out as quickly as I can. As always, if you've enjoyed, be sure to like this.
Yeah. I mean, the reason why I love Warhammer 40,000 already is because how they cover all the aspect of things, everything, right? I mean, they created different type of races, fine, but they also created Tyranids to create that kind of a horror monster feeling to it. Monster invasion, because why not? Oh, by the way, there are also Orcs who believe in something and it happens. There's also that. Okay, then there are, Necrons, and there are, basically Necrons have imprisoned one of the old godlike creature who can't die. So they cut them in pieces and stuff them in the wall. Who theoretically somebody can basically take them out, piece them together and create them again. So these are literally godlike creature, right? I mean, the old ones basically created Eldar and Orcs. This other heaven creatures or whatever is literally like them. So these are one of the oldest creatures there are who are godlikes basically. And Necrons obviously are really powerful now, even though they might not have the numbers. And yeah, chaos. It's just a threat. It's not an enemy. I mean, there is no war because you can't really defeat them. I mean, you kill them, they'll come back eventually because chaos will always be there, right? If you kill some of the demons, they'll go back to chaos and return eventually. I mean, that's just fucked up. It's like that is literally that literally shows that there is no fucking hope. Eventually, chaos will kill everything. Alright, people, that was What is Warhammer 40,000 Explained, Beginner's Guide to 40k Lore by the channel Luchin09. I don't know. I'm confused right now. What should I react to next? Should I react to the Emperor of Man from this? Should I react to Temple Institute? There is, Major Kill channel something. There's also that kind of something, speech, text speech emperor or something like that. There are episodes or something. There's different channel, but apparently that's not lore. It's just funny thing. I don't know what should I react to next. I don't know. Seriously, people, comment down. Should I react to Lutin09 next from this, like the Emperor Man, or should I react to Templin Institute? Should I react to Major Kill or that, text speech type of thing? Should I react to that? There's so many options. I've never been confused like this. I want to, slowly progress in this one. Like, I reacted to all the facts and details about the, Bricky. Now I saw the beginner's guide somewhat from Lutin. It was not that different, but I guess I did learn something, like how Emperor basically tells people, psychically. I always thought, like, isn't that a confusion? That is Emperor actually doing something, or are they just using Emperor as a figurehead? Just to use interstellar travel, and Emperor has no say in it because Emperor can't speak. But no, he tells people psychically what to do. So apparently he's still in power, I guess. So yeah, alright, I'll see you next time.